Well, good afternoon, everybody. Here we are again. It's Tuesday, the 16th of August. And you know, it's a real special day today because 12 months ago today, we moved into Sanntangle headquarters. And my goodness me, what a ride it's been so far. And it's lovely to say that I'm sat up here upstairs with the air conditioning on. And it's fantastic. So welcome, everybody. If you've got a piece of cake, have a piece of cake on me. If not, chocolate biscuit will suffice, I'm sure. But of course, we're on with our tiles. So here we go. Tile 267. You can already see I've got one of the grey tiles out, the monochrome. And I've actually got my gel pens out. Look, I'm going to use that blue and purple together. You know, the one I used on the Hobby Maker show the other day. And yeah, I thought for a time we've not done a grid, have we? So I thought today what we'd do is we'd get in one of those little grid designs, but a little bit of colour in there with it, and I think we're all good to go. So what do I have with me? Oh, if I can zoom out, that would be great. Oh, I don't want to. So first thing, of course, I've got my blue and I've got my sort of purpley colour gel pens, but again, you can use the black pen. It's not a problem at all. It's absolutely fine. And what else do we have? I've got my regular pencil, though I don't honestly think I'm going to use it. I've got a white chalk pencil, but I've got coloured pencils as well. And I've matched it as best as I can, like, to the colours on my gel pens. So that's where it sort of starts. I've also got, now if you haven't got this, please don't worry. It's the grid out of the tiles, Toppers for Tiles stencil set. It's just going to help me with my dots, but if you haven't got it, it's fine. We can do it by hand. It's not a problem. So just to sort of start with, I'm going to line this up. And you see, it does actually line up over your tile. But I've actually got, look, 7 dots going one way and 7 going the other way. So if you're actually doing this by eye, you're going to mark the middle one in first, and the middle one, and then side and side, and then you're going to mark the ends, and then you're going to space the 2 in the middle there. But don't panic. Don't think you have got to use it. As I say, it's all there for you to use. Now, I'm not going to draw around in the bubbles. I'm just going to put a dot because I'm actually going to create a bit of a grid. So I probably don't even need all the dots, if I'm honest. Probably just need some around the edges. But I'm just going to put them in anyway. Again, just putting a little dot as I go. There we are. It's ages since we've done a grid, isn't it? And I thought today could be the day. But, you know, sometimes I know things, we prefer more organic, and grids are not always for you, but just give it a go, see how you end up, okay? We got quite, I know you can just see that, there you go, look, I've got all those little dots. So what I'm going to do now is join them up and form that grid. So I'm just going to sort of take my time because, as you know, with a gel pen, we need to slow down a little bit. And that's absolutely fine because it means, you know, we can just enjoy it a little bit more. Okay, there's my first line. And then bringing in that next one. Again, if you wanted to do this freehand, you don't need the stencil to draw your straight lines, but I know some of you do like those lines with grids in there, so let's get that straight for now. So you could also, I mean, I suppose you could try this particular design using wavy lines rather than straight. That might look quite nice as well. So let's bring that in. Okay, I'm still giving it 2 layers. It might fade a little bit but when it dries, but I don't mind because we're sort of going to go back over it anyway. As long as we can see it on screen, that's fine. So into the next one. And don't worry, by the way, if your gel pen goes onto your stencils, it'll come off. Okay, one more. Now, you know when you always struggle doing this, don't you, trying to get that on the end? So I am going to turn it round. It's dry for the most part. So let's just sort of lay that on. Let's see, just on the top there. Now I've not placed the stencil all the way down. I've just sort of got it hold it there. Job done. Okay. So into this next one. So I'm going to join my lines this way. Again, I could have done this with the purple, but I'm going to stick with the blue for now. It's a little bit tricky finding the dots, you know, when your camera's in between you and what you're drawing. I can still see them. There they are. And just work your way down. Bring those in. To this one. The last one there. There's one more to do after this. I'm going to see, let's have a look if I can sort of do it right on the end there. It's a little bit tricky. But I'm sort of holding the tile at the same time. So there we go, we've got a bit of a grid. So we don't need that anymore. I say, if you've done it freehand, that's absolutely fine. You could do that too. So, all right, let's make it a little bit bigger then. Okay, so I'm going to come in with the purple now. And let's do a quick swap. Here we go. And first, and now again, because I'm left-handed, I tend to work this way. But if you actually want to do the design this way, and that's more easy for you, if you're right-handed, please feel free and go ahead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that square diagonally into two like that. Okay, so again, if you want to do it the other way, that's absolutely fine. And then I'm going to split this part in two again, so I've got that shape. And then I'm going to come around the top there and around at the top there. Okay, and then just come back in on that grid and just fill in over the top, so I've got that shape. You see, I've gone over the blue, it doesn't matter. If you go over or inside, whatever you want to sort of do, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do the same in the others. So split that off, and then if you want to, you can always put that one in as you're going, and then along there, see that's sort of on the blue line anyway, and fill in any little gaps, then into the next one. This time I'm going to see if I can actually get in within those lines. There you go, and down. There. Okay, so same again along there. So again, I'm going to bring that line in. I'm going to do a curve there and a curve there. Now I apologise if anybody's asking me questions today. It's just that for some reason I don't have the chat up today. So rather than mess about with it, Karen, but please chat amongst yourselves. Just didn't want you to think I was being rude and not answering you. And then down to this one. There we go. And along onto the top there. Okay, so we've got the first row in. So I'm going to repeat this across the whole of the grid. So whether you want to do your lines first, let's do a row of that and see how we feel about it. And then we can decide how we're going to do the rest of these little grids. It's always worth trying it, isn't it? Just to see what you think. Might be a better way or a more comfortable way for you to work. In and along there. Okay, it doesn't look like much on its own there, does it? But that's okay. Let's come back in. Again, I'm going to put all these little curves in first. Just working my way along. And there we go. And this one. And then I'm going to come back in, I'm going to start at the bottom and fill in any of those gaps across the top. So you're actually getting a little hint of blue, you know where we drew the original grid? But the fact that we're going over it, it doesn't matter. It's got that little hint sticking out there. So, I'm not sure which I think actually. Yeah, I quite like this idea of drawing the lines first. I think you can get a bit more a muscle memory going on it, rather than trying to do too many steps in one go. You can work your way down that shape nice and easily. And then back in with these little curves. There's something really satisfying about putting a curve at the top of the line. You've got like a little heart kind of shape there. And then turning it round and back in. Along we go. There you go. Quite like that. I like how the gel pens, they're sort of really shiny for a little bit, so you can see how it's drying and you've got that little bit of a sheen on it, you see? And of course, some of the gel pens like these two, they are matte, so you don't have the metallic in them. And that really looks nice, I think. You don't sometimes want too much glitter, or you want to add glitter where you want it later. So having these is really nice. Having them in the same pack is even better. So there we are. A bit of good news, I have actually managed to source some pastel pencils, really good quality ones. So I placed an order for those, so they should be with you or with me soon, so you can have a look at those and use pastels again. I've also ordered some more embossing tools. I think, being that we quite like it, I thought we'd perhaps put a name on them. So they're on order too, so you can bear with me with those. Just gonna send the logo off today so we can get them machined. There you go. See, putting these little lines in. You might find that you're doing one square at a time, and that's absolutely fine. I say whatever works for you is fine. And then along to those ones. And back in with those little curves at the top there. Just shaping that top end. It's quite a traditional, I suppose, grid shape, isn't it? We're filling in each of the separate boxes. But you could actually do this tangle and maybe go across two of the boxes and then one, so you can mix and match and do a few different patterns. So maybe use two boxes and create these loops, and then do a one and then a two and then a one. There's lots of sort of potential for variation in these kind of things. Or you could use this as a fill design if you've got a larger piece. You could put this in the background or fill in one of the shapes. You know, if you've got the creative stencils, or maybe the stars or something, you could put this kind of tangle in there just to give you that bit of a grid going on. Or a background for a card. You could do this around the frame of a macro tile, then have another tile in the middle. So, or what if you, instead of doing them all the same way, what if you actually rotated them or mirrored them each time? That would be quite nice. Okay. Just sort of, there you go, just sort of fill in the edges. Let's have a little look at this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so yours can look a bit different if you've used the black there. You see some of mine just sort of finishing the drying off time there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to use my blue pen. Okay. And this time, I'm going to sort of turn it this way and I'm going to focus on this little triangle here. So sort of the next section in each of these little grid spaces. So that's come on in. And I'm going to split it into two. So I'm going to work from the point up towards those little loops we did earlier, towards the loop shape. And then I'm going to take, and again, it doesn't matter which half you do. If you're more comfortable doing this one, that's fine. But I'm going to work with this one, and I'm going to create a little line in the middle there, and then a loop on the end, and a loop on the end. And then if I turn it round, I'm going to fill in that area there. Okay, so we've got the same thing, but it's just a slightly smaller version. You see? What I'm going to do, I'm going to just come on in and give me that blue line there as well, so I've got that shape. So let's do the same again. Let's bring this one in. We might want to do that edge first and then come up the middle. And then you see, add those little curves in and fill in the top section there. See, it's always better benefits that just from a second line there. So same again, along. So I'm almost forming that little triangle shape first. Let's fill that in the middle and then come in with those little curves on the top. And then a little line in there. You see? It's like a little row across. You notice last time I actually went down. This time I'm going across. Really doesn't matter. If you're happier doing it all the way down first, that's fine.
Tea.
Thank you, Leslie. Go with tea time.
Guys.
Okay, I said a minute ago you were watching and now you're here. It's like you've two of you.
I know.
Leslie wishes there was. Isn't it bad how we both think of the same things at the same time? You know?
That's because we're one person, really.
Because that's what it is. But you will actually, if you go into the quilt Festival of Quilts this weekend on Sunday, you will see that there are two of us. There's Leslie and me, because we're heading out for the day and going to the NEC. There you go. And the next one. This would be a nice little patchwork, wouldn't it? A little quilt. I've decided I am going to do it. I've started it. I am going to do the Create Art stencil set as a quilt, I think. See, there we go. So it's all going along the one section. But if you want to, you can actually come in the next row. This here, because they're a little bit wet, it's going to be a bit tricky to do. So, yeah. So if anybody is at the Festival of Quilts weekend, come and say hi. We're there to shop. Come and say hi. Of course, we're going to look at all the lovely quilts and things as well. It's always nice to get a little bit of inspiration from all the artists, whatever material we're working in. And I'm taking my little bag I've made with me. I've got 3 different colours now. Yeah, yeah, you won't miss Leslie. No. You could miss me in a crowd easy. I'm quite short. And I don't have pink hair. Okay, let's do this one this side. I'm going to do it in all of them, so it doesn't matter which order you do it in. It's entirely up to you. I just love these 2 colours together, aren't they so lovely? So maybe I'm going to do, oh, this is like blow my mind, do it from a different direction. Let's bring that round, that one. As long as you're focusing on what you're doing, you just look at that little triangle a little bit at a time. See? Just so. Bringing it in. Along with the others. There we go. And just work it round. Once another row there. Put in these little shapes in as we go. Just adding that curve. Kim, the stencil I used at the beginning was from the Toppers for Tiles stencil set. You get a square and a round grid. But honestly, if you haven't got it, don't worry, you can still do this tile. You just need a set of squares. You just need a grid putting in there. So whether you do it by eye, whether you use a ruler, it's just that stencil was a little bit quicker and just allowed me to put my dots down a little bit quicker. It's a really nice little stencil set if you've got it. It's got some little birds in, hasn't it, and some bee shapes and things. So see, I need to go back up and do these. Just be aware though, if you're using gel pens, you don't want to be rubbing your hands across them because of course they take a little bit longer to dry. We don't want to smudge our work. Me sort of wandering all over the place and not having a system. It's got the potential for doing that, but that's fine. I like the challenge. There you go. And to the next one. Oh, I can see the chat now there, so hi everybody. Working it round. So has anybody else made the bag pattern yet? Have you tried it? Which colour have you got? I was very lucky to when I did actually buy one. You know, the fabric of course, because I wanted to make sure that we got at least one sample before we showed it. So. Here we go. The colours are just lovely in it. Quite into my sort of mixed colours and a little bit of clashing. Right. Oh, Jane, grey and red's lovely, isn't it? You put the grey on the outside, didn't you? I did one with the red on the outside, just so you could see the difference, because I knew you'd got yours. But yeah, Rhea looks like she's going to try hers next week. It's just a lovely little size to put little bits and pieces in. And it goes over the shoulder just nice. So, yeah, it's a lovely little pattern. I'm ever so pleased with it. I'm glad you like it. There we are, see, just sort of get that in. Oh, Sam, I was expecting you to bring it to next class. We can compare. There you are. I'm sure you'll get round to it when you get time. Of course, class is just a little way off, but do you know what, they come out ever so quickly? We found we couldn't do one at the end of September because we were going to be in Kent. Woohoo, Kent. And of course, if you know about the wall of tiles we're going to do, please come on down and have a go and create one. I'm going to see how many we can get on show at one time. And oh, Susan, yeah, I absolutely love Star Wars. It's one of the first films, I think apart from Grease, that I went to the cinema to watch. It was definitely one of the first I went to watch on my own, or with my brother anyway. Star Wars, love it, absolutely love it. So, sort of on a par with Harry Potter, honestly. I do love them. And I could actually probably, yeah, there's a lot of it I can do the script. I've seen them so many times. But, must admit the Han Solo ones, you know. And the Chewbacca and all that, fantastic, love it. Okay. Back in. You see, just sort of heading them up there. Okay. Next one. Oh, Chris, I meant to ask, because when John Scott kept mentioning Chris, was it you he was talking about? Was it? Sounds like you know him. I think you need to dish the dirt on that one. How do you know John Scott? If it was you. Go. Sue. You know where you're coming from. I remember being in America actually, and they got like a, you know, in Universal Studios, they've got some of the costumes and things they wore. Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't as tall as I thought he was going to be, you know. Yeah. Oh, Chris, so you are. Yes. I did think. I thought, oh, is it the one I know? But I didn't want to say, oh, I know him. I thought I'll be polite. It was my first show on Sewing Street. I didn't want to sort of get into trouble. Wonder what not stopped me before. Okay, so we've got this lovely sort of little looking tile now with these colours. You see, so there, you can look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it? So what I want to do is I want to bring a little bit of pencil in. Now, if you want to use your pencil and tortillon, that's absolutely fine. But because I'm using all colour, I thought it'd be nice today to actually bring coloured pencils in rather than blend with my tortillon. But you would put your pencil in exactly the same way that as I'm going to put mine. It's just that you'd blend yours out with the tortillon, and I've actually got to be a little bit lighter on the pressure. Okay, so here we go then. I'm going to start with the purple. Okay. Now I know that looks a little bit paler on the camera, but it's not. It's just the light on here. See? So you can choose any of these corners you like. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go in with this top one. What I'm going to do is add some pencil just in that top corner and just sort of bring it out. Almost like a little flick, see? Let's have a look at that. Oh, bringing it down. You see? So I'm going to do that in all of those corners now, just sort of flicking from the top. Now if you're going to use a regular pencil, you'd put a little bit in and then bring your tortillon on it and actually blend it out a touch. So I'm a little bit heavy there, and I'm just sort of flicking out lighter pressure as I move around. I'm not trying to blend this in. I'm just sort of giving this a little bit of dimension there at that top edge. Notice I have got a sharp pencil as well, so that'll look a bit better. Okay. See, just sort of bringing that in. And just gives it a bit of a different touch. And of course you could bring a different colour in here if you wanted to. But I just thought I'd keep in with a similar colour there. And you notice that I'm not, you see here I've got that blue line. I'm gonna come in a bit, and I'm gonna put a purple line in there. Because it seems it's purple all the way around everywhere else, so we'll do that. You see you've just got this burst of colour there. Just sort of bringing that in. It's just giving that empty triangle just a little bit of interest. Of course, if you've got pastels, then you could put a little bit of colour in the top and you could blend it with the tortillon just like you usually would. So we'll see how that goes. Alright. Along here. So always starting from that top point there. Giving it a little bit of a flick down. Okay. There we are. Okay. So I'm going to flick back to my pen in a minute. Alright, let's have a look at that. Okay. I'm just going to come back in with my purple, and I'm going to draw that line in now. Just so it matches the rest of the tile there. There you go. And same down this side. It's a choice thing, isn't it? You could have chose to have a different colour there if you want. going in with that purple. Okay, so back in with the blue. Let's come back in a bit now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at this first shape here. And I'm going to bring in a little curl. And then a little curl. Okay, so you've not got to move a lot here because it's quite a small space. We just want to put that little bit of interest in there. And again, if you want to start on the other side of the tile, because of course if you're right-handed that's probably going to be more comfortable for you, and then you're not going to smudge your work coming over. Yeah, obviously left-handed means I'm going to sort of work the opposite direction. Another one here, see? And back along. So we've got that kind of thing. Let's have a look at that. There you are. So we've just got a little hint of something there. So I'm going to do that in each one of those little shapes there. Now I have done this in a white pen on a black tile, so I will sort of show you both so you can see what they look like. Maybe you've come in with a regular tile and a black pen, so that's going to look a little bit different again, isn't it? It all depends on your colour choice and what colour tile you've worked with. So these are great, and if you're having one of those days where you can't focus and you think, oh, I just don't know, this is taking all that choice out. You're not having to think where to put the next flourish or which flower to put in. I know we have our tangly trails for that, but this is sort of saying, right, okay, so you've got these little boxes. Within these little boxes, you're going to add these little shapes. So it's all completely structured, but you don't really have to think because we're working on each little bit at a time. We're not trying to do anything clever with it. Just adding in extra detail as we go. So this is not about, is it going to make an image, or do I have to think about what to put in that corner, or does it need an extra bubble? It's just as it is. Just working each box separately. Creating first the lines, then the loops. A little bit of colour if you want it to be. This would make a fab little border as well, wouldn't it? If you were going to do the tile swap, you could do this as the border, and then you could have the design that we're using for the tile swap in the middle, and mix the two together. What if you actually put this one, mirrored it here, and then mirrored them across? You'd end up with this like little flower in the middle, wouldn't you? So you could try it in different ways. You don't always have to do it exactly the same as this. Oh, so I know what you mean, and sometimes I know you don't want to have to think too much. So I know we do love our organic tangles. Sometimes putting a grid in and just going with it, even if it's, you know, just literally in one of your books. Maybe it's, you've got the new perspective, and you know, you just want to, there is actually some grids printed on tiles in that book. So you could just fill in the grid, just make the little boxes yourself and fill it in. There's absolutely no rush at all. See, I've got those sort of little curls in there, you see? Just sort of let that to dry off. But I'm going to now bring in my blue pencil. There we go. Oh, wrong end. It helps if you've got the pointy end facing the paper. And going to come in, see this sort of second loop here? Needs a little bit of interest there. So I'm going to pull again from that point. Pull outwards, bring this little bit of colour in. So this is certainly one you don't really have to think about. Oh, Jackie, I know some people absolutely like yourself love the grids. I like a combination of the two. I like to know that there's a grid there if I need it. And the organic ones sort of work well within them and around them. So if you've got a balance, and you have a few of these and a few of those, that's quite nice. I mean, if you're more into the organic, you might think, oh, actually, I've done this. But maybe you put this onto, I don't know, maybe onto one corner of a macro tile, and then explode with the organic sort of shapes coming off it onto the macro tile to make a larger piece. There's lots of options with them. This is just one of many. Again, if you're using a regular pencil, you just add a little bit in the corners of each of these. Pull it out with the tortillon. I'm just going to work it with the pencil. See, let's have a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the blue, and I'm going to work now in these little shapes here, and just sort of pulling up the bottom of both. Now, this is not going to sort of stand out as much because we've got that blue pen underneath. You see, with this one, it's obvious. So this one, it's just all about adding a little bit of shade, a little bit of detail there. And again, if you were using different colours, it would look completely different. Maybe actually quite an orange would look nice on this grey as well, wouldn't it? An orange and yellow. I don't want to overdo the colours, although you could bring in all the different colours you like. You can go down the road of the pride colours. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? You could even sort of start one colour in the middle, and then as it works its way out, you could change the colours. So that's one way of doing it. Just working around. So just putting these little bits in these corners. Okay, so let's have a look. So we've got something very unusual, very different to what we would usually do. I think what I am going to do, I'm going to bring a little bit of black in. I know that's not always the norm, a little bit of black. And just sort of where I've got that purple, you see, I'm just going to hint a little bit. Just in the corners there, maybe a little bit more there. Not too much at all, just a touch. Just needs that little bit of darkness. You could use a dark blue as well if you wanted to. So, there you go. Maybe just sort of redefining that little point there. And you could come in with the metallic gels and add a little hint of dots and things on there, couldn't you? You see, look at the difference that's made, just that little hint there. There we go. You could even shade around the whole of each of the boxes. Oh, I'm really tempted to do that now, actually. Let's have a look at this. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so where we are so far, we've got this sort of shape. So I'm going to change it a little bit to my plan, as always. I'm just going to bring my regular pencil in now. And I'm going to add some all the way down the sides. And then down each side there. So if I do this on all of them, just make sure that your gel pen's dry before you do this. But we have been working with a bit of pencil underneath, so we should be okay. Okay, same here. So I'm not being particularly neat, just get some pencil on, turn it round along this side, and same again. So into sort of each one. So I'm sort of doing each box as a separate, but sort of as a production line. There you go. Well, welcome Kerry back. It's nice to have you. It's a nice and calm this afternoon. Working with grids. Okay. All right. So a bit of a torty on here. Always got one of those somewhere. And what I'm going to do is just ever so gently, just sort of swirl along each of these lines. So I don't want to sort of do it too much. I would like to leave some of that colour underneath. It's just about adding a little bit of shadow in, just a little bit, you see. And because I've actually done this on both sides, I'm going to go up one side, of course, and then down the other. It just gives it the same sort of attention on both sides. Up one side. You notice now it's going to change shape slightly as we do it, and of course you've got those lovely colours underneath, but they're just going to have a little bit of shadow on them there. So, you know, keep it constant or consistent if you can. Up one side, down the other. Same pressure as we go. Now you could always come back in and add more if you wanted to. You could bring in more of that gel pen over the top of the pencil, whatever you wanted to do. Now Rose, why are you thinking chocolate? I wonder. There you go. Now if I turn it round, look at the difference that's made. Along the top there. And then, see, I kind of like going up bank on that side. And then down bank on this side. So again, you decide sort of how much pencil you want, how much graphite you want over the top there. I'm just sort of keeping it light. I'm not overdoing it. I don't want to hide everything that's underneath. Just want some little bits. Same at the top here. And then coming back down here. And the next one. And then back down this one. And the last one. And we'll have a look at it. Okay. So actually I think that is, don't want to put any more graphite on it, just a couple little spaces there. I just want to make sure I've actually got my pencil blended out there. Okay, maybe just a touch on this side here. Let's bring that in again. It's amazing, isn't it, how different it looks, like adding that. So let's do that one. You see here, it's a little bit. Okay, let's bring a bit in there. A bit in there. So you can, you can have a closer look at it and you can decide if it needs any more. There we go. So it's a little bit darker over that side, it's getting lighter, but I kind of like that. So I'm going to leave it at that stage. I'm going to bring in my my pen here. I'm going to just put my initials in. Okay. So that's the one for today. Now if I was to bring in, let's just bring that in on a different colour board just for a minute. Oh, let's bring the macro tile in actually. There you go. So this is that one. Just sort of looks a little bit different on a different colour. And then you could always, let's say you could do it in black and white. I mean, I've not put any shading on that at all. You can sort of see where the same designs come from. So that one's a little bit sort of more shocking, whereas that one's quite subtle. So there's lots of options. See if I put that one on there as well. You see the difference? You've got this one and then that one. So very, very different to what we've done for the last few tiles, but again, it's nice sometimes to actually bring a little bit of a grid in, because I know some of you love them. So have a go, whatever colour you want to use, try a few different things out and see where you end up with it. So have a bit of fun. Of course, don't forget you could even mirror image some of these and you can get something completely different. So yeah, enjoy, and we'll see what you do with this one. Okay, all being well, I will see you back here on Friday at 2 o'clock. Yeah, don't forget the tile swap's already up and running, so you can have a look at that in the meantime and just enjoy. Kathy, what is the white pen? It's a white gel pen. It's a Sakura 08 gel pen. Hang on 1 second. There you go. So it's a little bit of a wider nib. You can probably see it's a little bit wider, so just be aware of that. But yeah, that's the one. I don't have a white in my gels, but yeah, have fun with it. All right, everybody, see you later. Bye.